Greetings everyone, Joseph James here from theschooloftrade.com, and in today's first part of this 5-part video series, we're going to talk about the Discipline Cycle Workshop. Now guys, our emotions are an ever-present threat to our trading. This we all know, right? The emotions that we think don't have much control of our trading, well, right when we need it the most, they're right there to complicate the issue and make it more difficult for us. In fact, out of all the things that we have to worry about in trading every day, of those, the most important thing is usually the trader himself. So out of everything, support and resistance, indicators, getting everything done properly, usually the most important thing to worry about is going to be ourselves. And that, of course, is where we come up with our Discipline Cycle Workshop. Now, in order to go over more about this, I want to first start with this first video about my story. Because the Discipline Cycle was something that I created out of my own process of struggling, like a lot of traders, to become a consistently profitable trader. Well, of course, like a lot of new traders, I had a very tough beginning, lost a lot of money, lost a lot of confidence. I was over trading, undercapitalized. I had no rules or any real mechanical approach. I had a small account, I had a large amount of risk, and I really didn't have a lot of rules or any real patterns that I ever seen. Well, of course, I blew up the first account. I think that's what everyone does the first time, right? You blow up the first account, and then when I blew out the second account, I was just about ready to call it quits. And I recall the afternoon when I was looking over my statement, wondering why I just simply couldn't get my emotions under control, why I kept over trading, why I kept, basically losing money every single day in the market. I had good days, but I had more bad days. And so when I had the second blown account, that's when I began to kind of look in the mirror and think to myself, well, maybe this was the wrong career choice for me. And at that time, of course, I was complaining to a friend of mine. And I said, you know what, if only I could make one trade per day. Because once I start over trading, I give the money back, right? If only I could survive with only one trade per day. In other words, if only we could make enough money as day traders by only taking the picture perfect patterns. But you know what though? I was unfortunately very misled. When I began, I thought that becoming a day trader meant you had to be full of stress, right? White knuckles, biting on the fingernails, right? All kinds of stress all day long, in and out of the market repeatedly, back and forth, hundreds of trades, right? A very chaotic and very busy day. Boy, was I wrong. And I didn't realize that I was wrong until I made myself this challenge. And the challenge was take one trade per day, right? One trade per day. Now, this may not sound like a very difficult challenge, but for me as an overtrader, somebody who was thinking that all day traders had to be these crazy scalpers that had to be taking lots and lots of trades all day long, well, for me, this was kind of a new idea. The challenge was take one trade per day. And the idea was that if I took one trade per day, then I could take only the perfect trade, and that would always be a winner, right? That was kind of my theory behind it. So rather than taking hundreds of trades every day, I'll take only one trade. That one trade, that will be that perfect pattern, and maybe I can find a way to survive off that one trade. Well, no matter what the challenge was, the results were dramatic, and they literally changed my entire belief system for day traders as a whole. Remember guys, at this point in my career, all I had ever seen was this go, 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 lots of trading, right? Over trading, lots of risk, no real mechanical rules or any real structured approach. I didn't treat my trading like a business. I treated my trading like a blackjack game, right? Like a casino game. Well, when I issued myself the challenge, what I had to do was this. I literally had to handcuff my hands down to the chair so I couldn't take the trades, because as an overtrader, right, that's what we're known for. We can't resist getting to the market. So whether or not you need handcuffs, a blindfold, whatever it takes, or maybe a friend to hold you accountable, challenge yourself to take one trade per day. And what I did was I began to slow down. And this was where things really started changing for me. Now, I always tell my clients about this in Live Trade Room. I recall a story of my grandmother. Now, of course, my lovely grandmother, she passed away many years ago. But when I was a child, I remember her always telling me, Joey, you can't listen with your mouth open. Okay, what she meant is you can't listen to your elders, right? You can't listen and learn if you're talking. It was a way of her telling me, right, be quiet and listen to what I have to say. Well, my grandmother always kind of rings in the back of my mind whenever I talk about my story, because I still to this day, I hear my grandmother saying, Joey, stop talking so much and listen. And this is exactly what I had to do, because when I took that challenge to take one trade per day, I didn't know this, of course, when I began, but I began now to listen to the market. I wasn't trying to tell the market what I wanted to do all day long. I began to listen. And listening to the market, well, I'm sure my grandmother would agree, is a very powerful skill to hone. So I began listening and watching. And guess what? Taking one trade per day, well, that was somewhat easy, because after a couple of weeks, I began to see the best patterns. I built this rock solid foundation of knowledge to build on, and it changed my basic belief system for all day traders, in the sense that you don't need to be over trading. You don't need to be trading excessively, right? Over trading, undercapitalized. And guys, this is where we came up with the discipline cycle. Now, the discipline cycle is a 5-step cycle, 360 degrees. We're going to start with discipline, and I'm going to end with discipline. And of course, this first phase of the discipline cycle is the discipline to use your entry rules, to wait for the perfect patterns, and to avoid trading outside of your rules. Now remember, this discipline is going to be the start and the finish to this 360-degree cycle. So, we issued myself the challenge, and that was one trade per day. Now this challenge, whether or not it was intended to change my belief system or not, it certainly did. And now I view the markets completely differently now, believing that waiting for the best patterns and building that rock solid foundation of knowledge to build on based upon listening to the market, well, in my opinion, that's the only way to trade. So again, in this 5-part series, starting with discipline, this is the discipline to use your entry rules, wait for the perfect patterns, and then avoid trading outside of your rules. And we're going to see this discipline create a 360-degree view all the way back around. Let's recap. Now, your emotions can be used as an asset or a liability, right? Our emotions can hurt us or they can help us. The discipline cycle, that's going to help turn your emotions into a deadly trading weapon, being able to focus your emotions on the right direction rather than the wrong direction. It's important we start slow and listen to the market, right? Think of my grandmother. You can't listen and learn when you're talking. So instead of talking to the market, instead of over trading, listen. You may need some handcuffs, right? You may need some blindfolds. Whether or not you have the ability to control your emotions that well, this will be a good exercise for you guys the first couple days. See if you can take only one trade, and that will help you identify the highest percentage patterns. Use your rules to filter out the best trades, and then of course practice discipline to follow those rules. It's a very simple cycle. And again, it all begins with discipline. Once that discipline is in order, right, we'll talk about the next video next time. So here's what's next. Our second phase of the discipline cycle is consistency. So don't miss out on number 2 of our 5-part series. And guys, if you have any questions along the way, drop us an email at sales@schooloftrade.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning in live trade room at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Time, where of course I'll be practicing my discipline cycle every single day. 7:45 a.m. tomorrow morning, guys. We'll see you guys there. Don't miss a tick. Bye-bye for now.